Today we're going to be talking about 1.3, powers and exponents. There are some vocab words that I want you to know. The first one, write this down for me, please. The first word we're talking about today is a power. A power basically means that something is repeated multiplication. Next up is a base. The base is the number that's being repeated, all right? And then you could see an exponent. Read to me what an exponent is. Go ahead. How many times a number repeats, okay? So I've got an example right here for you. This right here says 4 to the third power. Does anybody think they might know what that means? What do you think?
Multiply 4 times itself 3 times.
Multiply 4 times itself 3 times. That is correct. So what this basically means is 4 times 4 times 4, okay? Put that in your calculator. I want you to figure out what 4 to the third power equals. Yes, 64 is the correct answer, okay? Now I want to show you a mistake that a lot of people will do. They look at this and they think that means 4 times 3. But please know it does not mean 4 times 3. It means you take that base number and you multiply it as many times as that exponent tells you to do, okay? And this right here is read 4 to the third power. Say that. 4 to the third power. There's one other way that this specific number can be read because it has a 3 in the third power. It could also be read 4 cubed. What is it?
4 cubed.
Okay, so for this one you could either call it 4 to the third power or 4 cubed. The instructions that you see here say to write the product as a power. So this is going to be very similar. Sorry about that. Okay, so the instructions here said number 1, write the product as a power. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is figure out what your base is. Read to me one more time what your notes told us. What is a base? No, read me the definition of a base. The number being repeated. Look at problem A. Which number is being repeated over and over again?
2.
A 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and write down 2 is our base. Then you have to give it an exponent. Remember, the exponent is how many times that number is repeated. How many times was it repeated?
4.
4 times, okay? Does anybody know how to read this to me? What do you think?
2 to the 4th power.
2 to the 4th power is correct. Now, it did not ask me to solve what it would be. It just said to write it as a power. Remember, a power is whenever you have the base and you have an exponent, okay? So as you write this, look, your exponent is typically going to be about half the size as the other number, and it's going to be in the top right corner of the number, okay? So that's how you write a power. Let's go to the next one. Help me out, Katie. What number is being repeated over and over again?
4.
A 4. And what power is it being raised to?
6.
4 to the 6th power is correct. And that's how you will write the product as a power. Problem C is a little bit different because it doesn't have a number, but there's still a base, something that's being repeated over and over again, and there still should be an exponent because there's a certain number of times that it is being repeated. So what should this answer be, guys?
X to the 5th power.
X to the 5th power is correct. Box the answer in. Okay, the instructions are definitely different. Instead of saying write it as a power, it's asking us to evaluate the power, okay? From our vocab words last week, we learned evaluate. What does evaluate mean? To solve it, okay? So we're going to actually solve the power this time around. Looking at that first one, we've got problem A. Does anybody know how to read problem A? What does it say? What do you think?
7 to the 2nd power.
7 to the 2nd power. There is also another way to read that. Anytime there's a 2 in the corner, you could also say 7 squared, okay? So what does 7 to the 2nd power or 7 squared mean? What do I have to do? 7 times 7. So in math, you're always going to want to show your work. So directly underneath it, we're going to put 7 times 7. And what's my answer, guys? I have to evaluate or solve it. 49. Work underneath and box it in. Let's look at problem B. What does problem B say, Michael?
4 to the 3rd power.
4 to the 3rd power. Great job. And remember, I also taught you there's another way you could read it when there's a little 3 up there as the exponent. What could it be?
4 squared.
Not 4 squared. 4 squared is when there's a 2.
4 cubed.
4 cubed is correct. That's only when there's a 3, okay? So Landon, help me out. What does 4 cubed or 4 to the third power mean? What do I have to do? 4 times 4 times 4. Okay? This one's a little more difficult, so go ahead and pull out your calculators. Punch that in. What's the answer, guys?
64.
64 is correct. Looking at problem C, 3 to the first power. Does anybody know what that means?
3 times 1.
Okay, it's 3 times itself right there, only 1 time. So I'm only going to put one number. So what's my answer?
3.
It's just plain old 3. So problem D, Asia, read me what it says. 0 to the fourth power is correct. What does that mean? What do I need to do? 0 times 4? Okay, correct or incorrect, class?
No.
She wants to change it. What would it be? Good job, okay? In this case, we would have gotten the same answer no matter what, but just remember, there's a base number, and you have to repeat that number as many times as the exponent tells you. So, Asia, what's the answer? 0. Anything times 0 times 0 times 0 will always equal 0, okay? Going on to the next one, 10 to the 0 power. Now, this one's a little bit different, kind of unusual. A lot of times we might automatically think, oh, yes, that's going to be a 0. But I want you guys to plug it into your calculator to see what it would be. 10 to the 0 power. Once you plug that in, what's the answer, guys?
1.
1. Anything to the 0 power will always equal 1. Write this word there, always. Okay, this is just to help us. Every single time you see something to the 0 power, the answer is 1. So it could be 5 to the 0 power. The answer would be?
1.
Could be 33 to the 0 power. The answer would be? It could be 5,262 to the 0 power, and the answer would be?
1.
Anything to the 0 power always equals 1. Good job. We're at one final one. 15 to the second power. How else can I say that, guys? 15 squared. Jakari, what does 15 squared mean? Good job. Thank you for saying 15 times 15, not 15 times 2. When you plug this into your calculator, you can either use that little function button that I just told you about with the exponent, or you can just write out 15 times 15. I do not care. What is the answer?
225.
225 is correct. All right, for number 3, it says evaluate the expression for the given value of the variable. All right, this goes with the lesson that we learned last week. It says x squared when x equals 9. So this is just like that section that I was talking about, plugging in numbers to an original equation. Repeat after me. Plug it in, plug it in.
Plug it in, plug it in.
So our original variable expression just says x squared. Now what I have to do is plug in what x would be. Gabby, can you help me? What is x? Look at the original problem. What does it tell me x is? X equals 9, okay? So instead of x squared, what am I going to write? 9, what? 9 squared is what I'm going to do, okay? What does 9 squared mean? 9 times 9. Remember, in math, you've got to show me your work, so just keep working underneath it. What is 9 times 9, guys?
81.
81. Box it in. Okay, so you're always going to start with that original variable expression, and then we just plug in the numbers. Okay, say it one more time. Plug it in, plug it in.
Plug it in, plug it in.
All right, Alex, help me out. What do I start with?
You said what?
What do I start with on problem B?
Okay. We start off with M3.
Okay, it's not read M3, though. How do I read that?
M cubed.
M cubed or m to the third power. Either one is great. Okay, now what? Plug it in. Instead of
7 cubed.
7 cubed is correct. And what does 7 cubed mean?
7 times 7 times 7.
Excellent. Alex, what do you get?
I got 343.
343. Great work. Problem C says y to the fourth when y equals 2. Carlos, help me out. What should I do? Start off with y to the fourth power. What should I plug in for y? 2. So now I've got 2 to the fourth power, and what does that mean? Good job. Okay. And when you evaluate that, because remember you always go back, you've got to solve it. What is 2 to the fourth power? Very good job. 16 is 2 to the fourth power. All right, if you understand this, then that is everything you need to know for 1.3 powers and exponents. Okay, your homework for tonight is 1.3, pages 16 and 17, and then you're going to go ahead and do these 10 problems.